As Elaine's enchanting allure draws Wayne deeper into her grasp, the fabric of their romance begins to fray. Wayne, once a figure of strength and assurance, transforms under the potent sway of Elaine's love spells. His affection, once tender and supporting, morphs into a dark and suffocating possessiveness. Calls at odd hours of the night, relentless questioning about her whereabouts, and his unexpected appearances at social gatherings she attends without him mark the beginning of his obsessive spiral. Elaine, whose quest for a perfect love has always teetered on the edge of ethical boundaries, starts to witness the corrosive effects of her magic firsthand. Her heart, a pendulum between genuine affection and the thrill of control, swings erratically as Wayne's behavior grows more erratic. Conflicted, she seeks solace in the company of other men, hoping to dilute the intensity of Wayne's attention with her divided presence. However, each new relationship ends in catastrophe, accidents, sudden disappearances, unexplained illnesses, leaving a trail of heartbreak and mystery. Haunted by the outcomes, Elaine begins to question the foundation of her powers. Was it truly love that her magic conjured, or something far more sinister, a mere illusion wrapped in the guise of affection? As her introspection deepens, she uncovers the ancestral origins of her witchcraft, passed down through generations of women who, like her, struggled with the dual gift and curse of their enchantments. The deeper Elaine digs into her past, the more she realizes the perilous path she is on. Her ancestors' histories are littered with tales of madness, despair, and ruin, with each woman ultimately consumed by the powers they wielded. With this knowledge, Elaine's perspective shifts. Her quest for love transforms into a dire need for redemption and self-control. Meanwhile, Wayne's obsession reaches a tipping point. Confrontations become frequent, and his jealousy erupts into violent episodes, leaving Elaine trapped in a cycle of fear and remorse. In a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, she understands that unless she can break free from the spellbound cycle she has created, her fate might mirror those of the women in her lineage. As the chapter closes, Elaine stands at a crossroads, armed with the haunting tales of her ancestors and the bitter reality of her present. She must decide whether to continue down this dark path or find a way to cleanse herself of the burdens of her inherited powers. The choice she makes could either liberate her or seal her doom, as the spiral of obsession tightens its grip. Detective Griff leaned back in his creaky office chair, a mound of file folders forming a small fortress on his desk. His eyes, weary and red-rimmed, scanned the latest report: another man found dead. This time in a plush hotel room, the air still carrying a hint of exotic perfume. That made four men, affluent, healthy, no obvious connections, except one, Elaine. Griff rubbed the bridge of his nose, thinking back to when he'd first met her. Elaine had appeared at the station voluntarily, draped in a flowing crimson dress that seemed too vibrant for the drab surroundings. She had come to declare, with unnerving calm, that she believed someone was stalking her. "I feel eyes on me wherever I go," she had said, her voice a melodic whisper that lingered long after she left. Now, Griff couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Elaine than met the eye. Her beauty was undeniable, almost otherworldly, but it was her eyes that haunted him, deep in knowing, as if hiding a myriad of secrets. Every victim had been linked to her, if not directly then through hushed rumors of brief romances and whispered sweet nothings. Griff opened another file, this one containing photos from the crime scenes. Each man was found in a similar state, reclined, a look of serenity on his face, as though he had died in ecstasy. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, no toxic substances found during the autopsies. It was as if each had simply willed himself away from life. He pulled out his notebook, pages filled with scribbled notes from interviews and stakeouts. Witnesses often spoke of Elaine's charm and how effortlessly she seemed to enrapture those around her. Bartenders recalled her favorite drink orders, librarians noted books she borrowed on ancient love spells and arcane rituals. The detective's thoughts were interrupted by a knock at the door. It was Mira, his partner. "You're obsessing, Griff," Mira said, stepping into the cluttered room. "You need to take a step back." Griff shook his head, gesturing towards the pile of evidence. "Can't you see the pattern? It's all pointing to her." Mira sighed, her skepticism clear. "You need more than a pattern. You need motive and proof. Right now, we have neither." Griff's jaw tightened. "Then I'll find them." The following day, Griff decided to follow Elaine. He watched from a distance as she moved through the city, her grace undeniable, turning heads as she passed. She stopped at a small boutique, her laughter floating through the air as she flirted with a man who looked all too eager to please her. Griff took notes, his mind racing with questions. What power did she hold over these men? Was it simply her looks, or something more sinister? Weeks passed, Griff's obsession growing. He pored over ancient texts on witchcraft and hypnotism, trying to find anything that could explain Elaine's influence. He interviewed more of her acquaintances, digging deeper into her past relationships. Each interview left him more convinced of her guilt, but no closer to understanding how she did it. Then, a breakthrough came. Griff was sifting through old public records when he stumbled upon a marriage certificate. Elaine had been married, something she had never mentioned. Her husband had died under mysterious circumstances, much like her recent lovers. Armed with this new information, Griff confronted Elaine at her home. A quaint Victorian house surrounded by an overgrown garden. She greeted him with a smile, as if she had been expecting him. "Detective Griff, to what do I owe the pleasure?" she asked, her voice cool and composed. Griff held up the marriage certificate. "I know about your husband, Elaine, and I think you had something to do with his death, and the deaths of those other men." Elaine's expression remained unchanged. "You think I'm a killer? I think you're something far worse," Griff replied. Elaine laughed, a sound that sent chills down Griff's spine. "And what might that be?" "A witch," Griff said, the word hanging heavily in the air. Elaine's smile faded, her eyes darkening. "Be careful, detective. Some truths are better left undiscovered." Despite her warning, Griff pressed on, his investigation taking him into the realm of the supernatural. A world he had never believed in until now. He uncovered old legends of a love witch, a woman cursed with the power to make any man love her to death. As Griff delved deeper, his own feelings became tangled in the web of his investigation. Elaine haunted his dreams, her image both beguiling and terrifying. He found himself drawn to her, even as he sought to expose her. Months turned into a year, and the case consumed him. Griff's colleagues began to question his judgment, his obsession with Elaine blurring the lines between duty and desire. Finally, after exhaustive research and countless sleepless nights, Griff found the proof he needed. Hidden among Elaine's possessions were ancient artifacts and diaries detailing her exploits and the dark rituals she performed to bind men's souls to her will. Armed with evidence, Griff confronted Elaine, this time with enough to arrest her. But as he read her rights, Elaine simply smiled. "You cannot cage the wind, detective," she whispered. "Nor can you imprison a heart." Despite her arrest, Griff felt no triumph. As Elaine was taken away, he wondered if he had saved any future victims or merely caught himself in her final spell. The case was closed, but for Griff, the mystery of Elaine, the love which would never truly be solved.